how would you approach talking with kids? Like if parents or guardians have to talk to kids, especially minorities, about how to handle police encounters. And in particular, like I have a Black son. He's 7 years old, told you he wants to be a police officer. And, I hope that he will continue to be a great kid and grow up to be a great adolescent and not get any type of trouble. But the chances of him being stopped, even for a traffic violation, is very high. I mean, everyone gets pulled over by the police at some point for whatever reason, and I don't know. What would you suggest how to prepare a parent to talk to their son specifically about how to handle a police encounter?
Well, I would, because my mother definitely told me about that at a young age, herself or myself. And I think I would follow her suit in that understanding, like talk about the history of the police, that it can be a bit prejudiced and biased some of the times, and they can be completely helpful and protective the other part of that time. And she told me, it's like, it really just depends on that officer that comes to your scene and how they interact with you. Like, don't let their interaction fire you up. Like if they're coming at you a certain way, agitated, aggressive, yelling, demanding that you do this now, and you on the other end, okay, just hold on a minute, it's over here, or let me get off the phone or whatever. Do it now. Like, don't let that sort of response amp you up to get you in trouble and you in handcuffs. Like, talk to your kids, let them know that generally police are here to serve and protect. No matter how old, no matter how young, no matter who you are, where you come from, the color of your skin, how you talk, how you dress, we're here to protect you and make sure that you're safe. And let them know that there have been incidences, specifically like with Black people involved, that led to lives being taken. And while it's difficult to explain that to a child, you just want them to know that even in this day and age, the color of your skin is still being judged, even in the most minute of occasions. And even when you're dealing with police, you want to think it's not a possibility that, like you said, that there is some reasonable explanation you pulled me over, or there's some reasonable explanation you walked up and started talking to me. That those type of interactions can and will happen to you as a Black man or as a Black woman, and don't fall victim to their I'm sorry if I'm looking away. I'm just like that's the police part
Observing.
of me. Yeah. But understand that the police have a job to do, and if it involves talking to you, detaining you, just listen to what the officer says. Don't give the officer a reason to think that you may be a suspect or doing anything suspicious. Don't do anything you wouldn't do in front of your parents. Like, pretend like they're always watching you.
Yeah.
If you have to ask, like, not pretend, but when an officer's talking to you, don't just go ahead and do things you would normally do, like put your hands in your pockets or behind your back, or like clench them up. Like, let the officer see your hands. Even more so, let the officer know that you're not a threat. You have no weapons on you. You have no drugs. And even go ahead and volunteer. Hey, if you want to pat me down, go right ahead, so that you are comfortable and I don't have to feel so tense. Like, and that's hard to tell a child that.
Yeah.
Especially a Black child. Or any child, well, specifically a Black child, but any child, you already know. But because of the current climate, anyways, just it sounds like very childish, but ask before you do when dealing with the police. Because if you ask before you do, then the police can't say, well, I never told him he couldn't, or he did this furtive gesture. He was reaching for something in his pocket or around his waistline. So I didn't know what he was reaching for. So I'm going to defend myself. Or he or she was reaching for, excuse me. So always ask before you do when dealing with the police, and just comply. When there's something that they're telling you that isn't making sense to you, or that, you know, like they're telling you you did a crime that you know you didn't do, try to explain to the officer, like if it's in a store or something, hey, go check the video recording, or, you know, I was on my phone the whole time. You can talk to the person I was on the phone with. We were FaceTiming, whatever the case may be. Try to gather as much evidence to show that you did nothing wrong, to show the officer, so they can essentially leave you alone, so you can go about your day. And it sucks that you have to say that, because we operate under the umbrella of all people are presumed innocent until proven guilty. But it's almost like you have to prove your innocence before your guilt.
Yeah.
And
some people see the black skin as you're already guilty. Like they feel like, you know, you've seen the signs, the protest signs saying like, my skin is a crime, because it feels like it's like automatically we're suspects just because we're brown. You know, in a store setting, if there's someone for shoplifting, I feel like they're going to scan for like all the black people first and be like, okay, you know.
That's really crazy, because to a kid who's never really grown up with that kind of experience, as a parent, you may have a troublesome time explaining it to your child, because all your child wants to do is like just play with Johnny down the street, or play with Michelle, and they may be different, like they may be of different race or skin color, and like a police officer may see them playing together and talk to them, and they may talk to your friend differently than they talk to you. And you just kind of have to be there for your child and let them know that I don't understand why they spoke to you differently and than your other friends. But that's one of the things that you as a parent want them to know and understand, that is a definite possibility.
Yeah.
And even on the speaking as a police side of me, like the officers I work with, I know that they're going to be just like me. You know, you don't associate yourself with people who don't sort of like, who follow the same kind of letter that you do, kind of act the same way that you do with people, who kind of communicate with people the same way that you do. And so the officers who I associate myself with 90% of the time are just like me. They don't jump to conclusions. They speak to you first, regardless of if you're a child or an adult. And they legitimately try, no matter if it takes an hour, no matter if it takes 6 hours, to figure out what happened. Because at the end of the day, or at the end of the call, you could be taking someone's freedoms away. And that's the biggest thing to understand. That's one of the biggest things to try to teach a child, is that you have freedoms, you have rights, and that police may have to, because of their job policies and procedures, limit you to your rights and your freedoms. And it's not because the police officer has so much power. It's the policies and general orders that are governed to them, that gives them the authority to do that. And if we want to see change in that, we have to protest, like, to our politicians, to our policymakers, to our judges, to our people in government, down in Austin, speaking in Texas, for policy change. Because until policy changes, across the board, police officers will still follow what's already in place. And and if they have to enforce it with lethal force, because policies say it, they have that as their evidence that gives them the authority to use lethal force.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's gotten so many cops in trouble these past couple of months, I think, is that's
abuse of authority.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. This has been really enlightening. We kind of came up to our time here, went a little bit over, but I'm glad that we were able to talk and like be a little more conversational about this. Because it's good to get to know your perspective and like how you've been experiencing in the past 5 years serving as a police officer. And we just thank you for your time. Did you have anything else that you wanted to share that we, didn't ask and you just wanted people to know?
Oh no,
You shared everything.
I'm just me personally. I'm a God-loving person, a God-fearing man, and I try to do my best on every single call I go to, and at the end of the day, I still love you regardless of if you did a crime or not, and I still treat you as a human being. I don't treat you as an animal. I don't treat you anything less than me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you or Jeffrey, whomever, this is an open call. Whenever they allow for the Dallas Police Department, because I work for Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
whenever they allow us to start doing ride-alongs, hey, I'll be more than happy if you want to ride along with me any night.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much. That's powerful. And we really appreciate your time this morning on a random Thursday to talk with us about this. And yeah, we just look forward to getting this out so more people can hear your story and your perspective and everything, Reggie. So thank you so much for taking time to talk to us.
Thank you. And it's a true blessing. And thank you again, Jeffrey, for the opportunity. And I pray you guys have a blessed day, and I wish you guys nothing but the best.